All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a pretty big idea today. The idea that our world, the one we live in right now, wasn't really built during times of peace. Instead, it was forged in fire, in those moments where it felt like everything was about to fall apart.
And that right there, that's the core idea we're digging into. It completely flips the script on how we usually think about progress. It suggests that our biggest breakthroughs, our greatest achievements, don't happen when things are calm, but when we're pushed right to the edge. So, to really get this, we've got to jump back in time. We're starting our story in 1945. The deadliest war in all of human history had just ended, but out of its ashes, a completely new kind of fear began to grow.
See, the end of World War II wasn't just the end of a war. It was the dawn of the atomic age. For the very first time, we as a species had the power to completely wipe ourselves out. This wasn't the normal fear of battle anymore. This was a deep, existential dread that hung over everyone's future. So this put the entire world in a really tough spot. The big question on everyone's mind was this: after all that devastation, how on earth do you build a lasting peace when you know you have the power to destroy everything in the blink of an eye? And you know what their first big answer was? The United Nations. It was this massive, hopeful, and maybe a little fragile attempt to say, okay, we can't do that again. It was a promise to find a different way forward. But all that hope, it didn't last long. Something else started creeping in, a silent tension that would cast a shadow over the entire planet for the next 50 years. We're talking, of course, about the Cold War. And this conflict was different. It wasn't your typical war. You had the two new superpowers, the US and the Soviet Union, but they never actually fought each other on a battlefield. No, their war was fought with ideas, with influence, with proxy conflicts all over the globe. The prize? Well, it was nothing less than control of the entire world. Just try to imagine living like that. For decades, the entire planet held its breath. With nuclear bombs piling up and rival military alliances like NATO and the Warsaw Pact staring each other down, everyone knew that one little mistake, one bad call, could trigger mutually assured destruction and end it all. But here's the crazy part. The thing most people forget, it never happened. After all those years of tension, all those close calls, the apocalypse never came. The shadow was always there, but humanity just kept on going.
And this is where things get really interesting, because it leads to this incredible paradox. This period of extreme, world-ending fear was also somehow a period of unbelievable progress. That tension didn't just create anxiety, it sparked something else.
Think about it. 1969. The Cold War is at its absolute peak. The world is split in two, the threat is constant. And yet, in the middle of all that, humanity did something that felt like it was straight out of science fiction. The Apollo 11 moon landing. I mean, come on, this is the perfect example of that paradox. The space race was born directly out of the Cold War rivalry. It was all about proving who was better, ideologically and technologically. But that competition, which came from fear, literally pushed us to the stars. And it wasn't just rockets. This pressure cooker gave us satellite TV, GPS, and even the early version of the internet, ARPANET. We reached for the moon because we were afraid of what was happening on Earth.
So this gets you thinking, right? What if the Cold War wasn't just a one-off thing? What if it's actually a perfect example of a pattern that's been repeating itself throughout all of human history?
Well, it turns out there is a pattern, and it looks something like this. It always starts with a crisis, a war, a plague like the Black Death that totally changed society, or an economic crash like the Great Depression that rewrote the rules. That crisis creates fear. But then, that fear forces us to adapt, to innovate, to try new things. And out of that adaptation, that's where we get growth. And that's what's so powerful about this quote. It kind of hits home, doesn't it? It's so easy to look at the world today and think, wow, things have never been this crazy. But history shows us that uncertainty isn't new. It's the normal state of things. In fact, it's the engine that drives everything forward. So all of this whole journey from 1945 to the moon, it all leads right back to now. Because we are absolutely living in another one of those moments of huge change and uncertainty. We're right in the middle of that pattern again. And that's really what we want to leave you with. The world is going to change. That's a guarantee. It's being forged right now in the crises of our time. So
The real question isn't if it will change. The question is, will we see the pattern? Will we understand the new world that's being built right in front of our eyes?